Okay, welcome to the Unengaged Agent. Today we're going to discuss, buyer broker agreements.
Otherwise known as BBA, correct?
Yeah. Um, so for our MLS, Stellar MLS,
Hmm.
they put together a nice little page with a bunch of great information and answering a lot of questions. And we figured we'd take this time to kind of go over some of them and kind of have a discussion about them. Um,
Right. And just to say, this agreement from NAR is going to go into effect on, I think, August 6th, correct? So, you know,
Yeah, well, the agreement's a little bit later than that, but our MLS
okay.
is implementing the changes on August 6th.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
So they are removing the compensation fields from the MLS,
Hmm.
and they are going to require buyer broker agreements, um, for any sort of access to homes,
And then
for
the access
insurance.
to homes is like touring homes, right? So it could be
Yeah,
touring in person or even virtually, where this agreement does have to be in place prior to.
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of overview of what the buyer broker agreement, key points of it is. It's
Hmm.
you're going to have a specific amount or rate of compensation that must be agreed upon between the buyer and the buyer's agent. There can't be any sort of like you know flexible thing. It's got to be very clear what that compensation is.
Hmm.
And I know either you have to come together as a brokerage or a team and figure out what works best for you and your clients and whatever you negotiate with the buyer.
Correct.
And that there has to be a clause in this agreement that states that the brokerage cannot receive more than the agreed upon amount. Um, so if there's any sort of uh, bonus from the seller to a buyer's agent,
Hmm.
that needs to be your agreement would have to be changed or amended to say that to include that bonus. If you
Right.
go with the agreement that is, then there is no bonus. So
Hmm.
that's I think it's a very important thing as far as um, you know whatever you agree upon. That's the max that you're gonna
The key
get.
points, right?
So
Right.
make sure Go ahead.
No, I was just saying on the third key point, it just says there that a clear statement that broker fees and commissions are not set by law and are fully negotiable. So, back
Yeah.
to like, is this the law? It's not the law, but it is what is required by
Hmm.
NAR. Hmm.
Exactly. Exactly. I think our MLS will be they're gonna not exactly be monitoring, but if there's any violations to this not having a buyer broker agreement, they will automatically fine you the first time,
Correct.
and
Right.
and obviously more if you keep doing it after that. So
Right,
if
and
ever
it's not something
yeah,
that they had mentioned as well. Sorry, Tony, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah,
just it's an agreement that has to be in place, right, through what's required, but they don't need it uploaded. They don't want to see it. They don't want to hold
yeah,
it, but it is something that we need to keep unfiled and for compliance reasons. So if there is an issue, and it is pulled, it will need to be asked. Then, and if not, then there is that fine, that fee. Hmm.
yeah, and we'll it's definitely something you're gonna have to do a lot of educating about, teaching about, informing your clientele about. I suggest obviously what we talk about, make videos about it, send emails about it, prepare people for this because it will be a discussion you're going to have with each and every buyer, and you're going to have to know what you're talking about, kind of
Right.
answer
And
all those questions.
we're here with Stellar MLS, so it's a great resource with everything outlined to go to if you're in Florida. If this is yours, and if not, I would look into yours because I'm sure they've got something coming up, if not already, on how to relay this message to our buyers. Of course.
Yeah, but the fun thing is that they had these frequently asked questions in here, and we thought they were pretty cool, and we figured we kind of go through a couple of them and kind of talk about them.
Yeah.
The one that popped out to me is: Are buyer broker agreements required for auto emails? And the answer is no, they are not. So you can still set up your auto email, still inform the clients, but when it comes time to tour the home or go into the home, that's when you need the buyer agreement in place.
Correct. And then, they as for touring, the word touring is going to be brought up again, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but touring is live in person and as well on virtually touring a home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that's something. And then to define what home is, right? So this does not apply to anyone that's not under the MLS. So not for sale by owner. Oh, well, that's separate, right? But it's not
Yeah,
for land or commercial.
exactly.
Um,
Or rentals
correct,
either.
correct.
So this is
1 to 4 dwelling, right?
correct.
Mhm,
And to kind of go into what is a virtual tour? A virtual tour is when you go with your phone or whatever device and you FaceTime or WhatsApp, whatever, to a prospective to your buyer. That's considered touring, and you should have a buyer's agreement in place before that.
So yeah, another one that I thought was interesting is, if you attend an open house, right? You're
Mhm.
touring the home now, so do you need that agreement right away? The answer to that question for the listing agent is no, because at that moment you are representing the seller. But if a further relationship does occur and a relationship goes to the buyer as well, then yes, you have to have this signed, but
Yeah,
not at the open house because I
not the
think
open
it's
house.
already.
You can still do open houses.
Mhm,
Buyers can still come in. Prospective buyers can come in.
mhm.
And if you develop a relationship and you want to show them other homes in the MLS, then yeah, you're going to need an agreement then. But not you don't need one at the open house. So that I know that was a big question, and people were very concerned were open houses even possible. But yeah, you still do open houses, still have
Mhm.
people come in the door. Now, if you on the flip side, if you are a buyer's agent, um, and you want to take your buyer to an open house, make sure you
Mhm.
have an agreement in place prior to taking your client there.
Right, because at that time
Yeah,
you weren't with the buyer, not right.
yeah,
Okay. And this we're learning as we go, right? So as we're picking up on these things and sharing, and like I said, it's a great resource. We'll have the link there, but it really is just open discussion and trying, to understand and explain it the best we can. Yeah, there's a lot of good frequently asked questions here. I don't think we're going to go through a lot of them, all of them, but um,
hmm
let's see here. We got one right offhand.
um, yeah. Well, I'm seeing another question saying, what about a video showing? And
Hmm.
that's saying it does not trigger a requirement. But the other question did say virtual tours were considered um, necessary. So we
I
may
think
have
they're
to
like treating one like just like a FaceTime quick call versus a real property tour, maybe. I don't know.
maybe that's it. Maybe just a video. Yeah, I guess maybe that
Mhm,
maybe the differentiating factor. It's probably in your best interest to have an agreement in place anyway.
mhm,
Um, just to cover kind of all bases and whatnot.
mhm,
Let's see what else do I have here. You mentioned the vacant land. Yeah, you don't need don't need agreement to show that.
This
Um,
was I saw a good one here. Can a listing agent ask for a copy of the buyer broker agreement from the buyer's agent?
mhm.
No, they can't. It says the BBA is a contract between the buyer's broker and the buyer, and it would be inappropriate to request a copy.
Mhm.
Mhm. But it says you could certainly ask for verification from that agent, if they've signed a BBA, but they can't request a copy from you. They don't need to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of there's some good ones here. So how will it work for leads? If you're out there paying for leads, um, and um, and you still need to a buyer's broker agreement to portion the home. They say yes, regardless of the source of the lead, you will need a signed BBA for showing a residential listing that is not an MLS.
Mm,
That is an MLS. Sorry.
mhm.
Um, and I think Zillow was trying to do something with a touring agreement, so that kind of comes in play. But you're gonna still need a buyer broker agreement if you won't, if you want to get paid for it. Yeah.
So this is a common one too. Like if a seller is offering a lesser amount that you have on the buyer broker agreement,
Hmm.
does that need to be amended? It says this would be between the buyer and the buyer's broker, and it could be amended, or the buyer could choose to pay the difference. So
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
case by
And
case.
yeah, I think this will be case by case basis. Will also be um, you know a discussion regarding you have with your buyer. How do you want to handle situations like that? Um, you know, do you want to have make sure the whatever differences between what the seller's offering and what uh your agreement upon needs to be decided, like who's paying, what very clearly. It all has to be upfront, and the buyer has to understand that.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
It's
we'll be linking and making videos and all that fun stuff. So I do suggest following us. But
yeah.
for just so we can kind of all understand and kind of maybe inspire each other's content too, and how we want to explain
Oh
this,
yeah.
script wise even, and yeah, a lot of different ways to put this out there.
As far as which buyer's broker agreement, the Florida realtors have released a version um,
Mhm.
that that's probably workable for most agents out there, um, Florida agents,
Mhm.
obviously. One we're probably going to use unless we discuss with our brokerage and lawyers, and they come up with something new. But it obviously it has to have those key components in it. Um, the everyone's agreement might not look exactly the same,
Mhm.
or if everyone uses the Florida one, then they'll look very same.
Which might
But
be, more common than not, right?
yeah, so let's see. There was a couple of other good questions out here.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. It says if showing multiple homes in one day, do I need a form for each of the showings signed by each broker and my buyers and myself? And then gave a good example. So it says for each buyer you're showing a property to, a BBA will be required. The example would be one buyer, multiple properties, same day or over multiple days, but one agreement. And then example two would be showing the same or different property to multiple buyers. Then you would need a BBA for each buyer. So it's just
yeah,
one buyer per, I mean, BBA per buyer, is
yeah,
kind of
which makes sense. If you have one client and you're showing them multiple homes over a couple days or a couple weeks,
a
one
couple
agreement should
months.
cover
Yeah.
that. Couple months,
Yeah.
hopefully not.
Well,
Uh, then one
keeping it
agreement should have
real.
in place. Oh yeah, yeah. Um, and um, you know, it, I, we'd recommend kind of starting these discussions now, talking with your potential buyers, because this is going to come into play very quickly, and um, you don't want to have to spring this on them or anything like that.
And you want to
Um,
better educate yourself on it too, right? So the
yeah,
better understanding we have, and I feel like the more we learn and watch and read, and it'll
mhm,
become the new norm, but for the adjustment period, it's going to be what it is, right?
yeah. Um, and I guess to kind of go back to the um, the seller side just a little bit. So sellers can still offer a co-broke fee or compensation fee. They just can't put it in the MLS.
Right.
Um,
So I mean, there's all
yeah,
those Facebook groups, of course, that have everyone's having this discussion of saying it kind of incognito in the remarks, right? Do you think that's going to be, do you know what I mean by that?
uh,
Or
um, I think. that sellers might pivot to, instead of offering a compensation, maybe they'll pivot to offering credits,
Mhm.
offering buyer credits. And what the buyer does with those credits is none of the seller's concern. The buyer can use those credits to, pay their broker, or or use it for other things of the process. Um, that seems like, a cleaner route,
Mhm.
but we don't know. Everything's kind of going in place,
Evolving, yeah.
and builders are still offering commission, um, and so it's not everyone doing the same thing.
Mhm.
It's definitely it's something. It's, as real estate's always a changing business. Nothing's ever normal. Everything, um, it's very always evolving. So this is just the next kind
And
of
I think that's what's
evolution of
important.
it.
I think that's important to point out too, because staying active and involved versus, everyone knows a real estate agent. Everyone's
Mhm.
related to a real estate agent. Everyone has real estate advice for the most part, right? But this is, um, yeah, no, I think this is good. I think I love that this is this resource here. Um, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we'll have a link in the description, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and we'll try to answer them.
yeah.
Um, we'll, is there any other questions that pop out to you that you kind of wanted to discuss or go over?
Um, no, I think the one I had open was one I just talked about. And we already said about the vacant land. What was it exact? It was vacant land, rental properties, and I feel like there was something else that
Commercial,
commercial,
commercial.
right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then back to just to reiterate on, what needs to be on there. It can't be a range on, it has to be a firm, either dollar amount or percentage, but it can't say up to 2% or any of that wording anymore.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Hmm. And then,
And so yeah, definitely get a hold of your buyer agreement. Make sure you know it front and back. Make sure you can be
mhm.
able to explain it clearly, and kind of answer any questions any potential buyers may have regarding it, because they're
Yeah,
gonna have all the questions. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, they will for
Yeah.
sure. Um,
And obviously
not,
be able to go ahead.
no, no, I'm sorry. I just kind of scrolled down, and so that those questions we were pulling from Stellar
Mhm.
MLS, right? For their
Yes.
frequently asked questions. But if you scroll down, there's NAR frequently
Hmm.
asked questions. So I don't know if you looked at any of those or if that's what you were picking from. Um, but it was
Um,
there's one specifically about video showing. So I know you're asking about that. It says a
okay. I don't
virtual.
I don't see it. You got the go.
Oh,
You
all
talking
I
about?
did was scroll down. Okay, what was that?
What questions? What topics do you see in
Well,
discussion?
it's just what I'm reading here about the video because I know we were talking about video showing and
Hmm.
virtual tour, right?
Yeah.
So it says this is from the NAR frequently asked questions.
Okay.
Um, okay, so it says, what about video showing? For example, FaceTime, WhatsApp, a video call. It says a virtual tour or video does not trigger the requirement for a BBA. So
Okay.
did that clarify that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's saying that you don't need to um, you don't need to uh, have a BBA in place for a virtual tour. Goes against what they were talking about when they talked about touring. I said these are very, everybody's trying to figure it out as we go.
Right. And
Uh,
that's the other key thing that they were saying is to continuously check these pages because they
mhm.
are forever evolving and updating, right? So um, just to stay current, stay relevant to what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just saw Busta Rhymes in concert and I keep saying what it is. And then the song is like what it is right now. And I can't get it out, but just thought I'd share that with a few people.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, on a serious note, this is good. But
Yeah.
yeah, if there's any other questions, definitely in the comments or send us a DM. and we'll try our best to get some answers for you. And anything else, Tony?
No, I think that's it. For now, obviously, we'll probably be making a series of videos from now on till things kind of get settled. But I think we are good for today.
Very good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
great weekend.